It's time for a new access point. Let's get it set up. This video is going to be dedicated to adopting the UniFi U6 access point. We'll do an unboxing. We'll take a look at the network application as it's running on the Ubiquiti Cloud Key in UniFi OS. We'll get this thing adopted. We'll show how the SSIDs are set up, or the wireless networks, and how all of that works. This is going to be an exciting video where we finally get to add some new hardware to the system. As we get started with the unboxing, it's a very simple box. All of these packages from Ubiquiti come in very simple packaging. No frills, no thrills, nothing like that. So we go ahead and tear off the paper, and inside you're going to see all of the contents of the U6 AP. With the access points, there's not much to them, not like the switches or the UCK where there's hardware and instruction packets and all that stuff. There's a little baggie of hardware, and there's a piece in here that's going to be important for the mounting kit. All the other stuff is screws and mounts for the back plate that can go onto the wall. We're not going to be mounting this on the wall, so it's not a problem. So the U6 itself is fairly small. They actually have an LR, or a long range version of this access point that is massive. I mean, like a dinner plate size access point dish. Inside here you can see the wall template with a built-in level, the back plate, and also the locking plate for the wall mount. And the locking plate's good and bad. It can be difficult to get into. Once we see here that it snaps into place, it's tough without the tool to get it off the wall. It can cause you to sit there and try to rip at it for a little while. I've seen these out in the wild. They're tough to get off of. But if you have this tool, all you do is stick it underneath, lift the little prong up, give it a push, and that slides right open, just as you see on the video. The next step is going to be plugging in the access point to a PoE switch. We already have the Ubiquiti standard switch PoE, and the patch panel that goes back to the switch, the keystone jack that goes back to the switch on my wall jack is already plugged into a PoE port. So we'll see it light up here. It lights up white, and then in the application, which we'll shift to in a second, you're going to see our ability to adopt the new access point. All right, so we're logged into the UCK, and we went into the network application. We can see here that the U6 Plus is ready to adopt. So we're going to go ahead and do that and keep an eye on the adoption process, and then we'll go through some base configuration steps that I run through on the access points once they're fully adopted to the UCK. So we can see here that as it is going through the update process, it's pulling down firmware updates from UCK. It's going to blink white as it's doing that. But also when it starts connecting, there you go, you can start to see blue. And this is an LED setting that you can actually modify if you don't want it to shine, but I kind of like it because it's a nice little ambiance feature on the UniFi access points. But this is going to finish updating, and you can see it's already transitioned to getting ready. We're almost ready to start doing our base configuration. All right, it has completed, and now we can start configuring it. So you can see my naming convention here, and I like to do this for networks to make sure they have consistent naming conventions, device names, just to keep things uniform. So I'm going to go into the device settings here, and I'll just click the settings gear, and I can go ahead and change that. So my naming convention is TCD, the computer dad, and then we're going to do home, AP, and we already have AP01, so we're going to do AP02. And we're going to set up the networking, which is just going to be a static IP address. And one thing I like to do is just test that IP address is available on my network. I do have other things statically assigned. So my network scheme is 10.0.19, and we're going to try 22 because the other access point is on 21. And this is, again, just to make sure that nothing's responding on that, so I don't have an IP conflict for static IP assignment. So we'll go ahead and configure 22. And our subnet mask is a /24 or 255.255.255.0. And our gateway is 10.0.19.1. Then we're just going to throw it out to public DNS, which is Google. And then we'll go ahead and apply those settings, and then we will see it change in the interface. Oh, and I went ahead and named it 01 anyway. So we're going to name that 02, and then it's going to push that change out. Now we can see AP01 and AP02. It'll update the IP address. It's pushing these changes out to the access point, and once that's ready, it will begin broadcasting again. And then we'll take a quick look behind the scenes of how the networks are set up from the wireless perspective. What I'm doing a little bit behind the scenes, I want to do a separate video for networking about the VLANs, SSIDs, and things like that, but I'll show a little bit behind the scenes, kind of like what I did in the previous video, to show under the hood of how all of this works from the networking perspective. Okay, so now we have APO2 set up. So in order to see what it is broadcasting, we can go into settings here. And we can see that the Wi-Fi networks, or as they're termed SSIDs, are set up to broadcast to all AP groups. So that combines all of the access points. What you can do is you can separate SSIDs to broadcast on different APs. I don't do that. I only have 2 in the house, but on some network designs, you can do that. It certainly gives you the ability to do so. So one of the important things that I am doing is all of these are segmented. Each of these networks are their own VLAN, or virtual local area network. It's a logical segmentation of a network that you can do on the switch and with my firewall, because I'm doing what is called router on a stick, so that none of these networks know about each other. They can't talk to one another. There's no what is called inter-VLAN communication, and that's by design. I want these networks, these wireless networks, and the physical networks that are related to them to not be able to talk to one another. I want to keep my IoT stuff on its own network, talking out to the world, to whatever it talks to, whatever Amazon checks in with. And also my lab equipment and test bench equipment. And I use the test bench for anything I bring home for work to mock up, especially switches, network devices, other access points, things like that. And then home is all my home network stuff, my personal computers, things of that sort. And we can see that there's a number of clients already connected to it, and you can see all those networks. And just to show again behind the scenes what the structure is, I have my VLANs. They're all set up to route to my firewall over my switching, and there's going to be a whole other video on what that structure looks like, what's router on a stick, what are VLANs, what are all of these components that I have set up in my network. But for right now, I just wanted to quickly go through the adoption process and just show how simple it is. I do these on a daily basis. We're going through a process now where we're updating and deploying Ubiquiti Cloud Keys to a variety of sites that had pre-existing software controllers. So there's multiple ways you can control Ubiquiti devices. One is a software controller. Another is a Ubiquiti Cloud Key. They also have other gateway and edge devices that have UniFi OS that run the network operating system or the network application on it. You can do a variety of ways. We're moving from software-defined controllers, or software controllers, to the UCKs so that we can have central access through a single pane of glass for multiple sites, which is really nice. The process of adopting the access points is very simple, and then we rebuild the networks or back up the networks and apply that to the UCK and get everything back connected to those SSIDs or those wireless networks. We can see in here all of the stuff that I've connected, and it is very useful to be able to identify a device like a Nintendo Switch and go ahead and put an icon on it. And that's some of the neat stuff. Now, in actual theory, am I going to do that for every work environment that I implement? No, I'm not going to worry about that. But for my home environment, I'll take the extra step to make it nice and neat so I know exactly what's connected. And this is what's nice about the access points. Now I have a UAP AC Pro and a U6 Wi-Fi 6 access point. And I got the Wi-Fi 6 one just to play around with the Wi-Fi 6 technology, learn a little bit more about it, and see what I could do with it, what was unique to the AP Pro series versus the U6 series. I also wanted to dabble in the long range, but we're going to use those for work, so I won't have any videos related to that in particular. Now we have both access points, both broadcasting, and I'll find a place to stick this on the wall somewhere and get it mounted. I'm not going to screw into the wall. I actually use the Velcro command strips on the back end. I find that's a little bit easier to mount these things, especially if you have to remove it and move it. You're not worried about making holes in the wall and making a big mess. All right, well, we've come to the end of the video, and we've gone through the process of adopting a U6 Ubiquiti access point into the network, making sure it's named, IP'd, and that we have all of the networks broadcasting properly from the device. Next up, we're going to start setting up some of the cameras for the house and the NVR network video recorder component of the UniFi OS and the Ubiquiti Cloud Key. We're going to get some cameras installed. We're also going to have a UniFi Doorbell Pro set up along with the Chime. I'm really excited about setting that equipment up. We're just going to dive right into it and see how it all goes and how it all works together. As I continue the series, I'm going to dive more into the networking side, do some networking fundamental videos, and provide a little bit more layering to the things that I discuss in these videos, like VLANs, SSIDs, and different components on the switch. What I'd like from you is just feedback. How do you like the format? How do you like how the content's presented? Is it easily digestible? Am I talking too fast, too slow? Any feedback is appreciated. I really want to make these videos something useful and serve as a training platform for anybody looking to get into technology, learn a little bit about UniFi, a little bit about networking, and have some fun while you're doing it. So I appreciate you paying attention to these videos. If you like, comment, subscribe, that's just an added plus. I look forward to seeing you on the next one, and thank you very much for watching and listening.